Hi there and welcome. My name is Maria Jenkins and I'm the Public Programs Apprentice at the Cincinnati Nature Center. I'm here in my backyard in Chicago, Illinois with my very special assistant Josie the dog, and we've spotted a plant that we start to see a lot of this time of year. It's not in bloom yet, but we can probably recognize it from its leaves. So if we look close, we can see the edges of these leaves are pointy and they're facing back towards the center of the plant. It was probably these pointy leaves that gave this plant its French name, Dandelion, or lion's teeth. Josie, can you give me a lion's roar? Good girl. Anyhow, the French Dandelion is also the source for the English name for this plant, the dandelion. If you were to see a dandelion in your backyard, how would it make you feel? Some of you might feel happy or cheerful. Others might feel hungry. Every part of the dandelion is edible. And some of you might feel angry or frustrated because you can't get rid of them from your yard. They can be the source of strong feelings. Truth is, dandelions and humans have a long history together, both as friends and as enemies. Call them frenemies if you'd like. Dandelions grow where humans go because we disturb the soil, and that's exactly where dandelions like to live. They've been with us a long time, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. A couple hundred years ago, people really wanted dandelions in their yard. Of the precious few items that passengers on the Mayflower could bring with them on their trip to America, they brought dandelion seeds. Why did so many people want dandelions? Well, there's a couple of reasons. For one, dandelions made settlers feel more at home. Think about being far away from everything and anyone you'd ever known. What would make you feel more at home? For early settlers, dandelions made the unfamiliar landscape feel a lot more familiar. More importantly, dandelions served a medicinal purpose. There weren't a lot of doctors around, so people treated their families' injuries and illnesses at home. They would plant herb gardens to help with treatment. And one of the things they would use dandelions for was as a diuretic, which gave it its other French name, pis-aller, which very unglamorously translates to wet the bed. Dandelions also provided a much-needed source of vitamins, including vitamin C, which helped stave off the dreaded disease of scurvy. Yes, Josie, scurvy was kind of a pirate thing, but it could also happen to anyone who lacked access to vitamin C. Scurvy could cause teeth to fall out, cause weird bruises and rashes, and could eventually kill. Oof, right? Today people could take a vitamin C tablet, but back in the day, people needed to get their vitamins through the food that they ate. They still sell vitamins and supplements made out of dandelions in the grocery stores today. You can buy tea made out of dandelion roots, or you can buy supplements made out of the leaves. Dandelions can also do us good ecologically. Have you ever tried to dig in hard-packed soil? It's no fun, and plants aren't a big fan of growing in it either. Dandelions can help us break up soil with their long taproots, this thing here. Although the average length of a dandelion taproot is between 6 to 12 inches, they can grow deep, up to 12 feet. Dandelions are also a source of food for many animals, including deer, rabbits, birds, and bees. Native mason bees emerge in the spring around the same time as dandelions, and they need to visit a lot of flowers to get the pollen and nectar that they need to survive. In fact, this jar here represents the number of flower visits that a native mason bee needs to make every day. What's your guess? So if dandelions used to be treasured, and they're still a benefit for us today, when did they ever become our enemies? Well, it has a lot to do with the history of lawns. Back in the 1700s, when America was forming as a nation, very few people had grass lawns. Most yards consisted of hard-packed dirt and a few scattered plants. At the same time over in Europe, however, wealthy landowners were planting large grass lawns to lounge around on and admire. When rich Americans traveled to Europe, they saw these estates and thought they were the height of luxury, so they copied them. They imported grasses from Europe, including the famed Kentucky bluegrass, and planted large lawns on their estate that had to be maintained by paid or slave labor. An early example of this is Thomas Jefferson's Monticello estate. The west lawn of this estate can still be viewed today. In the 1800s, Americans began moving from rural farms to urban settings to work in factories. More and more people were living closer and closer to each other, and early suburbs began to form. Keeping up appearances became more important, and one way to demonstrate your respectability to your neighbors was by planting a grass lawn. It was still a sign of wealth. Anything that would interrupt their lush green expanse of lawn, including dandelions, became a problem. They just didn't like the way they looked. From there, imported grass seed, lawnmowers, and weed killers came onto the commercial market. The industry grew even faster in the 1900s, when suburban sprawl became the norm. The lawn care industry is still thriving today, and a flawless lawn is still a point of pride for many people. So over the course of a few hundred years, dandelions have gone from a trusted friend to a sworn enemy. My challenge to you, however, is to try to leave a few dandelions around this spring. Maybe see what animals are snacking on them, try to harvest a few leaves yourself, or take some photos. If you still really want to get rid of dandelions from your yard, here are a few tips. First, try to leave your grass grow a little bit longer. If you leave it at about 3 to 4 inches, it will provide more shade for the dandelions to contend with. 2, if you get rid of dandelions, think about planting some other spring flowers that pollinators can use as a food source. 3, avoid chemical weed killers. These can negatively impact bird, mammal, and insect populations. Thank you so much for watching the video today, and I hope that you'll give these plants a second chance despite their bad reputation.